and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, any of you have any complaints about this rain and stuff that we're having? I texted my sister in Buffalo about 15 minutes ago, and they have 18 to 20 inches of snow. So, they can keep that, and we'll take the rain. I do want to say a word about this evening, though, with this chill that's coming, this major cold that's coming. Please be careful. Okay? I don't want anybody slip, anybody get hurt. Okay? There is no more wine. There's a wedding celebration going on, and then it's noted that the bride and groom have run out of wine. Now, there could be several explanations as to how this could happen. And you see, back in those days, the celebrations could go on as long as a week for different weddings. Maybe they had more people than the bride and groom anticipated. And as was the custom back then, the guests would bring their own wine along with them, and perhaps many didn't bring their fair share. Perhaps there was even bigger drinkers than what they anticipated. In any case, they ran out. And this would have been a very embarrassing situation for not only the bride and groom, but also for the family. Now Mary goes to Jesus and says, they have run out of wine. She's not being judgmental. She's not being rude. She's simply making an observation. They've run out of wine. Jesus then turns to Mary and says, woman, why do you bother me? My hour has not yet come. Now Jesus does not refer to Mary as mother throughout the whole fourth gospel. Jesus is not being rude by calling Mary mother. The gospel writer is trying now to create a sense of distance between Jesus and Mary. And this is not the only time that the gospel writers use the term woman when referring to women. It is referred again in John 4:21, Matthew 15:25, and Luke 22:57. What's kind of strange is the gospel writing referring to woman as his mother, describing his mother as woman. It's a little strange. But because of this very miracle, the miracle of Jesus' birth, Mary knows that Jesus is destined to do something far more than even she can imagine. For some, the disciples believe after Jesus performs his first sign, but Mary already believes in the effectiveness of Jesus' word before anything even happens. When she tells the servants to do whatever Jesus tells them to do, she already has the confidence that Jesus will address this need at hand. And indeed he does. He tells the servants to fill 6 stone jars that will hold between 20 and 30 gallons of water. And when the chief steward goes to taste it, the water has now become wine. In fact, 120 to 180 gallons of it. And to put it in perspective, that's 120 and 180 gallons of this. So that's quite a bit of wine. Does Jesus perform his first sign so the people can go on partying? Is he promoting alcohol? No. Absolutely not. And that is the problem sometimes in how we read this gospel. Sometimes the very meaning of this gospel lesson is lost because we think Jesus did this to save the wedding, to save the embarrassment of the bride and groom, the embarrassment of the family. Also, don't forget that the chief steward also had no idea where the wine came from, but the lowly servants knew. He was establishing himself not only to the disciples and Mary, but also to the lowly. He let them see and experience this first sign firsthand. This gospel is not about wine. It's about us. It's about the times when we run dry, when our wine runs out. With all the planning that we do, trying to count and control everything we do in our lives, only to fall short. All of us could tell a story about the times when our wine ran out, when you suddenly became empty, when everything around you seemed to lose its vitality, lose its life. Unanswered prayers, tragedies that seem to take the very last bit of wine that's within you. We can go along thinking that we are in control, only to have that confidence ripped away from us. Now those of us who are fortunate enough to have better lives have not experienced the true hardship of homelessness, of hunger, race, sexual preferences, etc. We can't imagine how much wine those folks have left in them. Can you imagine how they long to have their glasses refilled? Not just having their glasses refilled, but having their lives transformed. How often do we ask to have our lives transformed? To be refilled with the wine of hope, the wine of grace, the wine of love, the wine of mercy. To turn doubt into trust, turn hopelessness into hope, homelessness into shelter, ridicule into respect, and hate into love. It is at this point that, and folks, it is okay that these things happen to us from time to time. Because this is the point where Christ performs his miracle. It is at this point that if we let him, Christ will renew your spirit, will renew your attitude towards life, and toward the situation no matter what you may be in. Now, God did not promise that everything is going to work out to exactly the way we wanted it to. But the one thing he did promise us, that no matter what happens, no matter what situation, no matter what circumstance, he will always be there. I know this for a fact. I've mentioned it a couple times on a couple occasions on my sermons, but prior to coming to Christ, I was in a lot of trouble. On many occasions, I would literally fill my glass with wine or other substances. I was going down a path of pure eventual destruction. No matter who tried to help me, no matter what professional folks tried to help me, no matter what family tried to help me, as far as I was concerned, I had everything under control exactly the way I wanted it. But my world came crashing in. Not only once, but many, many times, before I finally gave up the idea that I knew what I was doing. I feel blessed. There is no doubt in my mind that a voice incredibly profound, incredibly directive, incredibly authoritative did come and fill my glass one day. It offered a way for me to have my glass refilled, not with intoxicating wine, but with the Spirit of Christ. And my life did not gradually change. As Father Micah said on more than one occasion, metanoia set in to turn a different direction. But it wasn't just a 90-degree turn, it was a full 180. And I'm glad. I went to church that day, which I hadn't done in a long time because I felt I had no need. The miracle of the wedding of Cana did come to me that day. And I have to tell you that God did have angels with me. I know that. They were looking after me and probably many, many times crying, hoping that someday that Spirit would come. And I have a special angel that next month has been with me for 45 years. But until I was empty and gave up the notion that I controlled this life I was given, it was hopeless. I knew things were wrong, but I simply chose to ignore them. But now, when the sense of doubt or the feeling of frustration comes along, I look to Christ to fill me again and again with the spirit of endless love and confidence. I've seen this happen to many people in the years since being a chaplain, visiting the sick, and hospice. I've seen it in others who struggle with addiction. Their lives are still a struggle, but they chose a different, intoxicating fulfillment that only Christ can bring them. I see it over and over again at the Outreach Center. I see it at St. Peter's at the food pantry. You don't always see it in everyone, but some, you know that it's there. They have that look upon them when someone just says a kind word or even a simple smile or welcome. We are here to fill their glass. Remember, Christ has no body on earth but yours. So who fills those people's glasses? We do. It's a miracle the wedding at Cana over and over and over again. The same miracle can be with you if you choose it. Every day can be a miracle the wedding of Cana if you want it. Is your glass of wine empty? If so, reach out to Christ who can fill it to overflowing time and time again. To a Christ who has already blessed you with grace, mercy, and love. We will all have times when we feel empty. Trust me, it will happen. begin.